your majesties, honored guests, dear friends, today I stand before you with a heart that has known gentle storms, and from those storms I have learned that even when something is broken, it can become beautiful. When I reflect on the title of our gathering, You Ruined Me Beautifully, I recognize in those words a paradox so true, that what we fear as devastation may reveal, at the same time, our hidden resilience, our deeper compassion, and our truer selves. My sister Sofia and I have walked together through seasons of change. We have seen how our family, our country, and our youth ask us to be both steadfast and open, strong enough to face what is difficult, humble enough to receive the lessons it brings. In that companionship, I realize that being ruined is not the end of the story. It is the wake-up call to stand again, more aware, more tender, and more grounded. To be heir to my country means to commit to service, to carry responsibility not as a burden, but as a privilege. It means to understand that the fractures we experience are not only ours alone. They are windows into the lives of others, into histories of hope and struggle. And so, from the ruins of broken expectations, of shattered illusions, we can build something meaningful, something rooted in empathy, justice, and solidarity. Let us then embrace that beautiful ruin, the vulnerability that becomes honesty, the loss that becomes awareness, the ending that opens a new beginning. Let us walk hand in hand, with our families, our communities, our sisters and brothers, and pledge ourselves to a future where what was broken leads us to something better. In this moment I ask for your trust, because I place my trust in our shared path. Together, with Sofia and with all of you, I believe we can turn ruin into renewal and darkness into purpose. Thank you, and may we continue this journey with courage, with dignity, and with love. There are moments in life that shift the world beneath our feet. Moments we never ask for, never prepare for, and yet somehow they arrive and change us quietly, deeply, without apology. And in that change, something within us cracks open. We see ourselves differently. We understand more. We become, in a way, transformed. I have come to believe that transformation is not always gentle. In fact, it rarely is. It can feel like loss, of childhood certainties, of comfort, of the easy rhythm we once knew. But what is remarkable is that from that very loss can emerge something luminous, something real. The truth is that we never truly know how strong we are until strength becomes our only option. And we never truly grasp the depth of our own capacity until life, in its strange poetry, ruins us beautifully. When the world first taught me change, I resisted. I thought transformation looked like a choice, a graceful unfolding, something within my control. I didn't yet understand that growth often happens in the quiet moments when our hearts are breaking and we are unsure how to move forward. I didn't yet see that sometimes we do not choose the transformation, it chooses us. There were days I longed to return to the familiar, to who I was before the expectations grew, before the shadows of responsibility stretched over my steps. But then there came an instant when I paused and noticed something. With every layer of old understanding that fell away, something new began to take root. In that stillness, I understood that transformation was not trying to take pieces of me. It was giving more of me back to myself. And it wasn't a path I walked alone. By my side was someone who saw it all with me, someone who understood instinctively the weight of eyes watching, the grace we're expected to carry, and the effort of balancing youth with duty. My sister, not just through the grand events or official moments, but in the quiet glances, the shared laughs, the unspoken recognition of how our hearts were shifting, in her presence I found courage. In her resilience I discovered a mirror to my own. Sofia and I have been shaped by the same winds, not identical in personality or in role, but bound by something much deeper, a shared experience of growing up in history's gaze, while still trying to understand ourselves in private. There were times we stumbled, times when we questioned what the world expected from us. But through each of those moments, I watched her rise, and in watching her, I learned how to rise too. Transformation can be a teacher, one that does not always use words, but uses life itself. It taught me that being capable does not mean being unshakable, that understanding others begins with understanding our own hearts, that growth is not about perfection, but about authenticity. It calls us to look inward, to reach for depth rather than applause, to speak sincerely rather than speak just to be heard. As I stand between childhood and a future rapidly drawing near, I feel both the weight and wonder of this transformation. My life is intertwined with a responsibility I did not choose in the everyday sense, but which I have learned to accept with a fuller heart, because transformation is not meant to change who we are. It is meant to reveal who we have always had the potential to be. I think often about the story we tell ourselves when something breaks. We look at the fragments and mourn what was lost, but what if instead we looked at the pieces and imagined what they could become? What if ruin could be a doorway? What if endings could be invitations to something even more beautiful than what we had before? This is what I now understand, that transformation is not about erasing the pain or pretending that loss didn't shape us. No, it is about honoring it, letting it become part of our story, not the end of it. We are more than the moments that tried to destroy us. We are the people who rose from them. There are days when I still feel the old fears whispering. But now I know that they are not wrong. They are just incomplete. Yes, change carries uncertainty. Yes, responsibility can feel heavy. But within it all, there is beauty, in learning, in facing what scares us, in discovering that even the most unexpected storms carry seeds of wisdom and renewal. I wish I could tell my younger self that transformation is not a betrayal of who she was, but a continuation of who she's always been becoming, that it's possible to be broken open and still be whole, that sometimes the only way to grow wings is through the cracks we never wanted. So if there is one truth I hold close now, it is this: life may not always give us what we want, but it gives us what we need to unfold into the person we are meant to be. And when we accept that, when we trust that process, we step into something powerful. We step into the next version of ourselves, one shaped by courage, empathy, and understanding. I am grateful for every moment that has refined me, for every challenge that deepened my resolve, for every tear that softened my view of the world, for every heartbeat that whispered, "Keep going," because I am still on this journey, I am still becoming. And I am not afraid of being changed. Transformation is not an end, it is a passage, and I am walking through it, with love, with purpose, and with faith that what awaits is not ruin, but the beauty we have yet to see. There is a quiet truth in the spaces between words, a truth that is often discovered not in grand speeches or royal ceremonies, but in shared glances, in laughter that fills familiar rooms, and in moments when the world feels heavy and only one person seems to understand without needing to ask. That truth is sisterhood, a bond so woven into the heart that even time, distance, or duty cannot unravel it. Growing up as a sister is not something you choose, but loving your sister, truly loving her, is one of the most natural choices the heart ever makes. From the earliest years, Sophia and I have moved through life together, side by side, even when our roles asked different things of us. There is a certain grace in knowing that no matter how many eyes may be watching, there is one gaze that sees you, not as a title, not as an expectation, but as a person, unguarded and whole. We didn't choose the life we were born into. There are days it feels like a beautiful gift, and others when it feels like a challenge wrapped in gold. But what has made every step bearable, even meaningful, is having her by my side. Sophia has always been more than my sister. She is my confidante, my balance, the one who keeps my spirit light when the world asks me to carry more than I think I can. There were times, as children, when we didn't fully understand the weight of the crown that hovered above our future. We played, we learned, we dreamt together, not yet aware of the expectations that would one day define us in the eyes of others. Still, even then, there was a sense of togetherness, an invisible thread tying us closer with every laugh, every shared secret, and every moment we created in the privacy of our own world. As time passed, life began to shift. We became aware of the world watching, the responsibilities growing, the roles we were quietly growing into. I felt the shift first, perhaps as the eldest. I knew the world saw something in me, something future-focused, as though I were a symbol rather than a girl still searching for herself. But even in that pressure, I never had to face it alone. Sofia understood, not because we shared the same responsibilities, but because she shared the same heart. There is something extraordinary about being seen through the eyes of someone who has walked the same path, but carries her own version of courage. While I felt the weight of duty, Sofia offered something steady, loyalty without condition. She reminded me that before the speeches, before the ceremonies, before the world expected something of us, we were simply us, sisters who held on to one another, even when everything around us began to change. And it is in that shared journey that I have learned so much about trust, about joy, about what it truly means to stand not in front of someone, but with someone. Sofia does not stand in my shadow. She stands beside me, a light of her own. Her presence softens my steps, her laughter reminds me of who I am beyond the roles I play. Together we balance each other, two voices, two spirits, intertwined but never confined. Sometimes I look ahead and wonder what our futures will hold, how our paths will continue to merge and diverge. I know life will ask many things of me and perhaps different things of her, but the truth remains we are not in competition. We are not two stories told in parallel. We are one story written in two voices. Her successes are mine, and mine hers. When one of us speaks, the other listens, not because we are obligated to, but because love makes space, and sisterhood honors silence as much as sound. There are memories I carry with me that the world will never know. Moments when Sofia's hand squeezed mine under a table, offering comfort without a word. Times when her laughter cracked open a day that felt too heavy for my young heart. Nights when we lay awake and wondered about the future, not as royal children, but as two girls dreaming about who we wanted to become, not in titles, but in truth. That is the power of sisterhood, not perfection, not constant harmony, but a bond that chooses to stay, even when life grows complicated. It is the kind of love that does not need to be spoken in public, because it is lived. It is the kind of journey that continues even without applause, because its beauty lies not in being seen, but in being shared. One day, when the world becomes quieter and our roles settle gracefully into place, I know that Sofia and I will look back on these years not with regret or longing, but with gratitude for the way we walked together. For the way we held each other through storms, for the way we celebrated the smallest victories, and for the way we grew, not just as royal daughters, but as women whose hearts were strengthened by the presence of one another. Sisterhood is not a title, it is a promise to remember even when the world asks us to forget, a promise to stay kind even when duties demand strength, a promise to be a home for each other, even when life takes us far from the rooms where we first learned to laugh. And so, as we both continue on our journey, sometimes together, sometimes on different paths, I carry her with me. In every decision I make, in every step I take toward the future, there is a part of Sofia beside me, reminding me that I am not alone, and that joy is multiplied when it is shared. I believe the journey ahead will be beautiful, not because it will be easy, but because it will be ours built on love, framed by loyalty, and strengthened by a bond that no crown can define and no circumstance can break. That is the gift of sisterhood, not just walking under the same sky, but sharing the same heartbeat, even when the world turns and shifts. No matter what life may ask of us, no matter where our paths may lead, I know this. My sister is my companion in becoming, my silent anchor, and the echo of home in every step I take, and for that I will always be grateful. Hope is not something fragile. It is not a flicker that trembles at the slightest wind, nor a soft whisper that loses itself in the noise of uncertainty. Hope is a force that knows how to endure, how to look beyond the immediate, and how to steady the heart in the face of the impossible. And when hope is joined by purpose, it becomes something even more, service. Together they become a promise, a responsibility, and a calling that shapes not just the individual, but the community, the nation, the world. From the moment I began to understand the role I have been given, I also began to understand that it is not built on privilege alone, but on responsibility, on the sacred duty to serve, and to serve means to commit. To commit not only to the good that feels easy, but to the good that requires sacrifice, not only to the people who are near, but to all who look towards the future with questions, fears, and dreams that echo our own. I believe deeply that hope is the foundation of any society that seeks to move forward, and that service is its heart, its driving energy, but hope does not live in speeches, it lives in action. It is woven into the choices we make, the values we uphold, and the quiet determination we carry even when the path ahead is dim. Growing up, I learned that hope isn't blind. It sees every flaw and still believes in what could be restored. And service isn't passive. It is a decision, renewed again and again, to step forward when it would be easier to stand still. I carry these lessons with me every day, understanding that my role is not just to inherit, but to build, to nurture a future where hope is tangible and service is universal. When I think of the future of my generation, I see more than challenges and uncertainties. I see voices ready to rise, minds ready to innovate, hearts ready to listen. I see young people who can transform society, not because they have been told to, but because they are ready to. And I know that in this transformation, I must play my part. There will be moments when our hope feels tested, when the world around us is shaken by tragedy or division, when justice seems slow, or progress feels out of reach. But it is in those very moments that commitment matters most. Service is not about waiting for the perfect time. It is about showing up even when the ground is uneven and the skies uncertain. There are children who grow up without security. There are families who face each day with more fear than opportunity. There are hearts that carry loneliness, silence, and pain. And yet, every day, there are also people, teachers, doctors, volunteers, neighbors, who choose to serve, who choose to lift others, who choose to show that even the smallest act of care can shift the course of someone's life. They are the quiet heroes of hope, the invisible architects of tomorrow. They inspire me, because service is not only found in royal duties or official commitments. It is found in kindness that goes unseen, in courage that is not rewarded, in the steadfastness of those who stand for what is right even when no one is watching. It is found in the resilience of those who refuse to give up on the world, even when the world seems to have given up on them. There is a phrase that stays with me often, that we are not only the inheritors of a legacy, but the creators of a legacy for others to inherit, and that thought refuses to let me grow passive. It reminds me that every generation, no matter its privileges or challenges, must discover its own meaning of purpose, must redefine hope for its time, must serve in new and authentic ways. I am young. That is true. I am still learning, still listening, still becoming the person I hope to be. But I also know this, that youth is not a shadow of what is to come. Youth is the fire, the refusal to settle, the insistence that tomorrow can be better if we choose to shape it. And I choose to shape it, with open eyes, with a willing heart, and with the belief that service is not a duty but a gift. It was once said that to lead is to serve, and I feel this deeply. Leadership is not about standing above others, but standing with them. It is not about commanding, but about understanding. It is not about being followed, but about ensuring that others feel seen, heard, and supported. And if I can contribute to that, if I can use my voice to open doors, my position to uplift the voiceless, my energy to inspire healing and unity, then I will know I have served something greater than myself. Hope and service are not perfect, they are not without struggle or doubt, but they endure because they are rooted in something timeless, the belief that we are all connected, that what wounds one of us wounds us all, and that what uplifts one heart can lift a village, a nation, a world. There is a Spanish saying I hold close, one that speaks to the kind of world I hope to help build. Donde las palabras no alcanzan, ligan los gestos. When words are not enough, gestures will carry our meanings. And so I will strive to live not just by statements, but by action, by reaching where comfort ends, by listening where silence has been too long, by standing where hands tremble. I dream of a future where service is not extraordinary, but expected. Where hope is not a fragile idea, but a culture, where every child grows knowing that they matter, that they can make a difference, regardless of their title, their background, or their fears. That is the world I want to serve. That is the hope I am committed to, and though I may not yet know all the steps, I am ready to walk forward, with humility, with conviction, and with love, because service, in its purest form, is love in motion, and hope, in its strongest form, is love that endures. If someday the world remembers what I stood for, I hope it is simply this: that I never stopped believing in us, that I never stopped serving even when it required something from the depths of who I am, and that I never stopped hoping, even when the night was long and the answer was uncertain. For where there is hope, there is always a path, and where there is service, there is always light.